Kiwis love being outdoors, so why not transform your outdoor living space with a Sunview? With our quality range of stylish pergolas, outdoor blinds and awnings, having a Sunview is like adding a new room to your home, but for a fraction of the price. Enjoy the outdoors all year round with a range of products to suit your needs. Book a free consultation now with Sunview and see the difference.
Where we're going to start, though, is with assisted dying. I know, pretty heavy to come in at 10 o'clock in the morning when you might be just having a cuppa and a bicky. But listen, it's on the rise in New Zealand, with the latest report from the Assisted Dying Registrar showing a 20% increase in applications over the past year and a 37% jump in assisted deaths, from 344 to 472. Groups like Voice for Life and Family First say they are concerned, pointing out the number of doctors involved in the process is shrinking. Still, officials say this growth was predicted. Assisted dying is a relatively new service in New Zealand and was expected to increase before levelling off. Currently, assisted deaths account for just 1.25% of all deaths, which aligns with Ministry of Health forecasts and is still well below levels in countries where the practice is more established. A major point of contention remains the eligibility rule requiring that a patient has only 6 months to live. Of those denied assisted dying last year, 85% were turned down under this clause. ACT MP Todd Stephenson has proposed removing the 6-month rule via a private member's bill, and he joins me now. Todd, good morning.
Good morning, Leah. Thanks for having me on.
No, look, it's an interesting topic. I've always been, interested in this. I voted for it when it went to referendum. So, yeah, I think it's important that we always keep up with the figures, the numbers, what doctors and medical, experts are saying about it. So I wanted to talk to you because your private member's bill was drafted last year. So people listening might go, what? When did Todd write this up? It was last year, and it is at the mercy of the private member's ballot. But in light of these latest numbers, I thought it would be good to have a chat. So if we can go back, Todd, what prompted you to draft this law change around the 6-month life expectancy rule in the assisted dying legislation?
It's a great question, Leah. And I should say I'm also actually updating my members' bill, which I've got on the ballot, and we can talk about that in a minute, to take into to make some other changes which were actually recommended by a review last year. But look, the reason I'm tackling the 6-month eligibility criteria is actually feedback from New Zealanders, right? Obviously, this regime was put in place to give New Zealanders choice and control. Terminally ill New Zealanders, I should reiterate that. Obviously, this is for people where they have a prognosis that they're not going to live, and they wanted to obviously be able to control the circumstances in which they die. Feedback I had since coming to Parliament, and I've been here almost about a year and a half now, but this was an issue even predating myself coming into Parliament, is that there are just some New Zealanders who are terminally ill, who have very advanced diseases, who weren't able to access the assisted dying regime because of the 6-month rule. So that's initially why I took that up, and obviously have put in my members' bill to address that. Subsequently, and I actually want to say, I think one of the great things we got to write about the regime is these reports. And you, in your little introduction, Leah, you actually referred to the fact that this report just came out, which is something that's done actually every year, and we can actually see in black and white the numbers. And I think that's a really healthy thing, right? Because this isn't being done in secret, right? There's a lot of transparency around the assisted dying regime we have. But another thing that was completed towards the end of last year is that, again, the bill, when it was enacted, had a review that had to be done after 3 years. And look, that raised some issues, just mainly kind of operational issues, if I can put it that way, Leah, just things where the Ministry of Health, so again, not things that a politician or a lobby group or anything has said, just the Ministry of Health did the review, and then they said, here's some other sensible changes we think could be made to the regime just to make it a bit better. So we're just looking at how those can be incorporated as well.
Can you Actually, no, I've got a few other things I want to get to, and then we can, if you can talk to that, that would be great. So the latest report showed 85% of people deemed ineligible were disqualified because of that 6 months rule. Is that higher than you expected to see, Todd? Because that's a big number.
Yeah, I think it's in line with what the previous annual reports have shown. So again, I think, roughly in line. So again, I think that points to a need to actually have a look at this eligibility area. And again, the great thing about the report is it goes through all of the different eligibility criteria, but that one does stick out that, people are being denied because of this kind of the 6 month rule, as we call it. And again, that's subject to some interpretation, right? Because, some medical professionals might say, yep, no, you're definitely going to, your life's going to end within 6 months. Some say, well, yeah, maybe it's not. We can't be that precise. So again, I just think it points to the fact that this was an issue.
That might have been one of the issues, actually, Todd, because, people argued that, keeping the 6 month requirement helps ensure safeguards, and it is different with each case, I suppose. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, well, I just want to reassure people that we're actually not removing any of the other safeguards. So, look, again, to access assisted dying, you obviously have to be over 18. You have to actually be in what's called an advanced irreversible state of physical decline. Your pain and suffering can't be relieved in kind of a manner which is acceptable to you, and you're competent to make the decision. So all of those safeguards remain. What we're basically saying is, yes, the other important eligibility criteria is that you're suffering from a terminal illness that's likely to end your life. So that stays. It's just removing the 6 months, this kind of quite rigid 6 month piece. So, yeah, I think all the other safeguards remain. It's just, can we tweak this a little bit to just allow people who desperately want to access this assisted dying regime to be able to do so?
The public overwhelmingly supported assistance dying in the referendum. Do you think, and we haven't even talked about, and you've just said nothing else has changed. I was going to say, do you think they'd support a more loosening of the current rules, but that's kind of hearsay because that hasn't happened yet?
Obviously we'll go through a process if we can get this private members bill out of the ballot. We'll obviously go through a process. Look, I'll be clear. We're not. There wouldn't be a referendum attached to my bill. I think. Look, as you say, New Zealanders decided by an overwhelming majority, 2-1, that they wanted this regime in place. What I'm proposing is not some kind of major overhaul or major changes, I think, require to go back to a referendum. But again, there would be the normal select committee process and parliamentary scrutiny of any changes in this area. And it would be obviously subject to a conscience vote of MPs. Yeah.
There are concerns about access, Todd, especially with fewer doctors on the support and consultation of end of life in New Zealand list. For the listeners, there's a group that is that right, Todd? There's like a board that they're on this list, and doctors are on it. And at the moment, that list is dropping from 148 to 126 of doctors that can participate. Does that mean more strain and fewer options?
Kiwis love being outdoors, so why not transform your outdoor living space with a sun view? With our quality range of stylish pergolas, outdoor blinds and awnings, having a sun view is like adding a new room to your home, but for a fraction of the price. Enjoy the outdoors all year round with a range of products to suit your needs. Book a free consultation now with SunView and see the difference.